Hi guys, in this lesson we will learn the basis of formulas, including basic calculations, selection ranges, and copying them. A formula itself consists of several components starting from equal, but let's type in some numbers before explaining the formula. Yes, formula itself consists of several components starting from equal. Then after bracket comes the reference cells, just sum. This is an example. Then after bracket, we put a bracket here, comes the reference cell that you are going to include in calculations. This is the reference cell. Then you can just include the operators such as subtraction, addition, division, multiplication. Let's add in multiply. And then you can just include the second parameter, this one, and close the bracket. Click enter. Yes, here's the result. This is not the summing. This is actually the multiplication of these cells. This is the improvement of that. With the help of some functions we have multiplied two cells, but if we just put a list separator such as comma here and click enter, we will see that it will sum up these cells. This is the basic terminology of formulas, but we will get to it later. Here let's import the data and work with some data. Here I have an auto or previous data here. We will work on it. Suppose you want to sum two columns. Let's hide these ones. Let's hide these ones in order to make it easy for you. We just hide it. Suppose if we want to just sum or multiply this and this column first and this column y or x column. How we should do this? First we are just, let's write something here like sum equals, after equal sign we will write a sum function, does not matter lowercase or uppercase. Then we will just click on this reference cell, click on a comma, and then we will click on this cell, and after that we will just close the bracket and click enter. We will see that this is a sum of these cells. This is the sum of this, of the values of x column and a column. In the same way we will just subtract, divide, or multiply the values of those columns. I will just make a note here that most of the time students have problems with this comma separator. They type this formula absolutely correctly, but the function does not work and throws an error. If you paid attention, just let's see here, my Excel file just recommends me the right way or the correlation. If your Excel file does not recommend it, we should just go to settings and change it. If you have this kind of error here, you should first check if your just default separator is comma. How to do this? Let's go to the settings here, type in just settings, click enter, go to time language, then go to the region. From here go to the additional date, and from here we could just change the date, time, and here for additional settings, and here you could just see the list separator and check if it stays on comma or in semicolon. It has two functions here. If it is staying in semicolon, you could just use the semicolon as a list separator or change it to comma instead, in order to use a comma as a list separator in your Excel file. But don't confuse it or mix it with this separator here, which is located here in options. more options, advanced. There is a list separator here. This one. This is not the same. This separator works for your decimal points inside of your Excel file. This is the different thing, and don't confuse it with that. Okay, well, as we have created the functions, first function, in the same way we could just use the division, subtraction, multiplication. Instead of comma, we could just use plus sign here. And for let's just write a function for a division. This is the function for division. Equal sign, we want to divide x to u. Let's see how we could do this with the help of sum function. All the operations are doing with the help of sum function. Don't worry, don't forget it. x2 divided, this is the forward slash, by u, close bracket, click enter, drag it down. This is the result. From here you could just get rid of decimal points like this one. Of course, we have another way of doing it, an easy way with the help of operators. This one is of course a simple way of making calculations. Let's create the sum or division, or let's do the multiplication with the help of let's make a multiplication in an easy way. Multiplication. Let's multiply this one to this one equals y. We are just copying, or we are just typing the y cell divided by u, and click enter, and here's the result. We don't need the sum function here. Or let's do it for subtraction. Let's just subtract x from y equals subtract y function minus this one, x equals to same, equals to 6. Drag it down. Here is the result. We could also sum lots of columns by separating it with commas. For instance, let's just hide all of this, or just highlight them. Let's see that we want to sum all these columns except one. Let's see that we want to sum this one, this column, and this one. How we should do this? With the help of list separator, we could do this like this one. Let's just highlight. Let's just make a note as a separator. We want to include 3 columns. We could do this with the same sum function using list operators like this one, comma, this one, comma, and this one. Close brackets. Here is the result. Drag it down. Works for all cells. But here is the easy way of doing it. Like, what happens then? This function is of course good function and we could use it a lot, but if we have a lot of columns, how we should just write down all these columns one by one. In order to avoid it, we should think something in a different way or use a range. Let's just try another way of doing it. Sum function. Let's just take a range. Make a note that we wanted to include these 3 columns, but with the help of range, if we will do this, it will include these columns too. Let's see, equals sum, and if we just select all these columns and close brackets and press enter, its result will be not the same. But how we should do this in order to get rid of these columns? In order to do this, we should of course do the list separator here. How we should separate it? By giving the range. First, we just select these columns here, give it a list separator, then we will just select a certain column that we want to include in the function, like this one or this one. And you can see the result is the same here. When we work with a floating cell, the functions work the same. As you can see, if we want to sum this one with this one, this works the same, like the sum. Let's do it with the help of after sum function here. Like we have this function in the home tab. It usually have all the common functions in the list, like sum, average, count, max, min. Let's use another function here, max function, for example, for these two columns, this one and this one. Okay, we are just clicking the cell here, clicking this option, max, and select two columns, this one or this one, press comma and this one, select, and it shows the maximum number of it. But here is one problem. We could see that we have a floating result here. In order to avoid it, we should go to the format, more number formats, click custom, and from here we should avoid it and change it to this one. Okay, press OK. We have changed the format to the integer number. Okay, let's do one more function here. Let's find the total amount of this column and 20% of the total amount of the total value of this column. Let's see. We have this, we have freeze this row. Let's unfreeze it. View, home, or view, freeze, unfreeze it. We will freeze two columns. Let's say we will freeze from here in order to see the first two top rows here. No, we aren't able to do this. First top row, freeze pane. We should freeze pane. First of all, we will unfreeze it like this one, and then we will click on row, freeze, and freeze panes. We will select 3 rows here, and we want to sum all the values of this column. How we should do this? First, we will just put an equal sign, function, bracket, then we will select this one, z2, and click and put and type in comma and type in comma and select the last row here, close bracket, type in enter. We have a result. This is the total value or total summing value of all functions which are here. Now this we should just in order to do that, let's see that we want to select and freeze 3 rows. Let's say we have selected top 3 rows, and let's say we want to find the total amount of this column, sum of total amount of this column, like sum z2. We could see this is the z2. This is the first row here, z2, and the last column, Z201. This is the total amount of this column. In order to find the total amount of the other columns, we should just drag it right. As you can see, this formula works the same for all columns. It just fills all the columns. It just fills and assigns this function to all columns. If we want to just, for example, find the 20% of this value, what should we do? This is a simple math calculation. We should just multiply it to 20 and divide to 100. We will click this one, multiply to 20 and divide to 100. 100. This is the result. This is the 20% of this value. This is the value. Just place value. Okay, and that's it for now. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe to my channel. Have a good day. Bye.